Shakira is officially the best-selling Colombian singer of all time, one of the most successful Spanish-speaking singers, winner of 2 Grammys and 8 Latin American Grammys, Golden Globe nominee from 28 Billboard Latin Music Pile. She has a star on Hollywood fame. Her career has been going on for more than 30 years, and she has no plans to stop. Original, fascinating, fiery, ignoring such a thing as age, all this is Shakira. Hi, I'm Dana, and I suggest we discuss the success story of singer Shakira right now. Let's go. Shakira Isabel Mubarak Rapal was born on the 2nd of February, 1977th year, in the city of Barranquilla in Colombia. The mother was a local Colombian, and the father was a native of Sliven. Shakira's roots are Italian, Spanish on her mother's side, and Lebanese on her father's side. It was the Pope who gave his daughter such an Arabic name Shakira, which in translation means full of grace, grateful. Anna HD translates as Genia of Light. The singer was the only child in the family, but from her father, on her father's side, she has 8 older brothers and sisters, with whom she still maintains good relations, and who are also fans of her work. When Shakira was little, her father and mother were engaged in the jewelry business. In principle, they succeeded in this business, but over time things began to collapse, and they had to close this business. They owned a faithful store. When times got tough, the parents decided to give Shakira to her uncle, a family friend, for a while, so that she could stay there, live, not knowing about any problems in the family, so that she would not be a witness to this, and that her friends would take care of her. When Shakira arrived back home, she saw that the furniture that was there before was no longer in the house. The car was sold. And of course she was shocked by what she saw. Her parents, in order to pay off their loans, had to sell it all and had, roughly speaking, to start life anew. Of course, she had questions about why, and she wasn't very happy about it. And then after some time, her parents were walking, took her to the local park, where children from disadvantaged families played. They were in worn-out clothes, running barefoot, and in general, just like dysfunctional children in short. And Shakira saw it all, and she realized that how lucky she was in life at all, and she has no right to complain, and she should be grateful for everything she has. And besides, she realized that when she grows up, she must definitely come back and help these children with money somehow, in some way at all. And we can say that since childhood, Shakira was interested in creativity, music. She wanted to participate in the school choir, but she was not accepted there, because she already had a rather low voice at that time. In principle, her voice is a contralto, which is quite rare in general, in principle, for a vocalist. For an ordinary vocalist caught a soprano. There, for example, Ariana Grande, she also has a soprano, such a high-pitched voice. For female voices, in principle, such a high-pitched voice is more familiar and, let's say, pleasant in the standard sense. They don't have the same low voices as usual, but Shakira has a diverse voice, and she even used Yoda. That is, of course, as a child, she may not have had such data, yes, but she then successfully developed them here. And despite the fact that she was not accepted into the choir, she still continued to study music. Her father believed in her. He encouraged her, and in addition Shakira was still developing as a dancer. She has been dating belly dance teacher, since she was 10 years old. This girl taught classes at their school, and so Shakira met her, started doing oriental dancing, and then later she began to go to various competitions, festivals, and perform. And by the way, she performed almost always barefoot. Then, later in adulthood, she told me that this barefoot dance helped her overcome her own embarrassment. In this way, she seemed to get rid of some kind of framework and dissolved into the dance. And traveling, well, moving there to various festivals. She is rich in the city. She met with a musical theater producer who saw Shakira dancing, heard her sing, and was very impressed with her talent. And subsequently, she introduced Shakira to the manager of Sony Colombia's label, and she persuaded him to listen to her. The audition took place in the lobby of the hotel. That is, such an informal atmosphere. Shakira sang several songs, which surprised and conquered the manager. He subsequently contacted his superiors. The authorities at first did not want to sign a young girl there. She was 13 years old there. In my opinion, they didn't want to sign at first, because somehow they weren't inspired by her. But then once again she showed herself. She performed again, and yes, they realized that this was what they needed, and signed a contract with her. Already at the age of 13, Shakira was on a very large label. In general, speaking about Shakira's style of music, which she subsequently formed, we can say that she combined the music of Latin American countries with Western music. As a child, in principle, she really loved alternative music, such rock, for example. She listened to Reiki as well, and she listened, for example, to Bob Marley, Led Zeppelin, the Rolling Stones, Nirvana, even the Beatles, AC/DC, and subsequently at one of her concerts, She even performed a cover of AC/DC and, well, that is, as if it combined in different directions. And then she actively used it in music too. And now Shakira's first album was released at the age of 13 at the Columbia label. In general, as if in general her first two albums were not very successful. She was not very involved in the production of these albums. They were not particularly squandered, that is, as if literally a little more than 1,000 copies of the first or second album were sold, and there was not much exhaust. But here is the third album, which was called Plays Skulls. She has released for 18 years, and he was able to have a great success in Latin America. In part, I think it also happened because Shakira was already more involved in the songwriting process, was more involved in the production process, and invested herself more. And there have already become noticeable these inclusions of alternative directions of music, that is, a little more wide-sounding, and in general, subsequently the album became really so successful that he got to the USA, and even there, as it were, they listened to him and noticed her. Continuing this direction, in the direction of Western music, in the direction of the American market more precisely, Shakira records a live album of MTV Unplugged, it is called. It was recorded at one of her concerts, and of course it is noteworthy here, so to say, to put it mildly, it is noteworthy that in the 2001 year, it brought her a Grammy statuette. The nomination improved Latin American pop album, and Shakira has 2 Grammys in total. The first one was already, one might say, at the very beginning of her American career. Indeed, this is really a very cool achievement, and can you tell how much it was? 23 years old. For 23 years, she has already managed to receive a Grammy, the main award in general in foreign music. Shakira's first 3 albums were Spanish-speaking, and after the success of her Spanish-language albums, Shakira decides to focus on the American market, and wants to record an English-speaking album that will be understandable to a much larger number of people. It will be so international. To do this, she moves to Miami, where she meets Emilia Stefan's manager, who is the husband of the famous singer Gloria Stefan, and they begin working on recording English-language tracks. The first English-language single in the 2001 year was the famous mega hit Benna, which the singer wrote in general, well, as if I don't really know English, to a sufficient extent. She did not own, but she certainly had a much greater desire, but at this moment, than the possibilities. It seems to me that this is often the key to success. When you say something and wish for something, already these skills will stick to you later. Let's say, the main thing is to strive and not be afraid. Maybe her eyes weren't even afraid, her hands were doing it, she was just actively involved in it. She picked up a rhyme dictionary, relied on the poetry of Bob Dylan, Leonard Cohen, Walt Whitman, and sat down, and together with, apparently with assistance, perhaps, yes, sat down to write the lyrics of the song. Yes, some rhymes, such as happy that my breasts are small, modest, so you won't confuse them with mountains and the like. They seem slightly funny, but on the whole with such energetic music, and with its charming glass, such an unusual deep voice, and combined with both modern arrangement and scraping of ethnic sound. Peruvian musical instruments, caranga guitar and pan flute, were responsible for it. All of this together gave such a burning mixture, and even the English-speaking listeners didn't pay much attention to the text, because there was already such a cool clip there. There were like 4 elements. There was fire, in my opinion, where she was in the desert. Well, in my opinion, for the desert, for the fire the desert answered. The earth, the air, this is where she stood there on the mountain, and the water, in fact, from where she emerges. That is, the clip was so fast, yes, and she was so original there, as she later admitted in an interview with Vogue magazine, when she considered her famous exits, and she stood on this image that I had at the beginning of the 2000s. There are leather pants, such an ethnic top is short. She said that at that time she was very attracted to the aesthetics of unity with the element of the earth, and in this whole image of her, it was very evident. And despite the fact that her first tracks in English were, let's say, with such a slightly broken vocabulary, but it was not so important, because she was something new for the American market, and she was a breath of such fresh Latin American air. And the song she wrote was written by Shakira in honor of her relationship with her then boyfriend, Antonio de la Rua, with whom they then met at a distance. And the lyrics of the song also says that where it doesn't matter what the distance between us is, it doesn't matter where we are, we will still be together, and there in principle. All the lines read how much she loves him, how much she values him, and in general, there is not a single element barrier. We will always be together. We are made for each other. Then Shakira continued to conquer the American market and the international real success after the release of the track. The album was released in 2001 year, and it was the 5th in a row. It has such an unusual name, literally given as laundry services. Shakira gave the album, as she wanted to show how she is cleansed from the past. Yes, like in the laundry. That is, she has cleansed herself completely, and she is like this reborn and ready, as it were, for a new life, for new achievements. The album was insanely popular in the USA. It became 3 times platinum, brought Shakira real international recognition. But there, in this English-language album, there was not such a rock sound that was in the previous Spanish-language ones. There was more pop. Perhaps this was done in order to reduce the risks, increase the chances that the album will reach the widest possible audience, because pop music, at the beginning of the 2000s, it just dominated. Nevertheless, despite the criticism of critics, a wide audience really liked the album. It made Shakira famous. And then after the release of this album, she went on a world tour of the Mongoose Tours. The tour included North, South America, and Europe, and subsequently, therefore, the tour was filmed a documentary. Because it was very bright, the performances were very memorable. Shakira, in principle, in all of her performances, mostly either do not use any dancers at all, or there are a small number of exceptions. This is at the Grammys, when she performed in the 27th year, in my opinion, with the track Hipst Online. There was a dance with her as in the video here, but mostly, in short, she performs barefoot at all of her performances. She's comfortable with it. Again, as I said, since childhood she has felt more relaxed and performs alone, and basically I always improvise. Here is her belly dance, her such graceful body movements. 4 years later, in the 2005 year, the 6th Spanish-language album Fixation, Oral in version 1 was released, and it was released in the 2005 year at the beginning. The English version of this album, Oral Fixation, is released at the end of the same year. The hit from this album is the track Lat Arthur, which means torture in translation, and the song was recorded in a duet with Spanish singer Alejandro Sanz. This track is noteworthy also because it was the first among the Spanish-language clips that were rotated on the MTV channel at that moment, as if there was no one before who could achieve this. In addition, Shakira also performed this track on MTV, which was also the debut for the song in Spanish. And then I'll insert this bet a little bit. After the tour in support of the English-language album, Shakira took a short break. She decided suddenly, yes, she decided not just to go somewhere on the sea to rest, she decided to study at the university, at the prestigious Los Angeles University, in the history department. She always had an interesting story. She decided to try herself as a student, and in order not to attract any special attention to her, so that there would be no privileges, she took her middle name, Isabel. I dressed quite normally, a backpack, usually clothes. Her disguise worked so well that not only the students there, her classmates did not find out who she was, did not even recognize her as a teacher. It was only later that he even found out that it was Shakira. And in the course of training, yes, and they said that you look like Shakira, but she said, no, 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 I'm not her. And she calmly unlearned. She admitted that she really liked her studies. She liked the learning process. She would have wanted, if there wasn't enough time, to continue, but as if by vocation to singers, so she unlearned. And such a cool break was spent with benefit. I would like to dwell a little more on the clip of Lat Arthur, since recently I was scrolling through the video in a TikTok, and came across an excerpt from there and forgot how cool and final this clip is. And so, actually in the TikTok, there was a scene where he and Alejandrovich were in the kitchen. She was just so sensual, cool, and I decided to review it, and really it was. Firstly, one thing is that on MTV, it has already been rotated first among Spanish-language tracks. I'm sure there were other Spanish-speaking artists at that time, but it was Shakira's clip that was taken into rotation. Of course, there it turned out to be sensual and memorable because of Shakira's dancing. One of the scenes there was where she was soiled in something black. There was fuel oil or some kind of dirt. She danced on the roof, and she choreographed this choreography with another choreographer. But she choreographed most of it herself. And it's clear that it's like, well, let's just say, partly even improvisation. And this, of course, does not make the dance any worse. Returning to the album itself, it is worth adding, of course, that it brought Shakira and the second Grammy statuette for Best Latin Rock Alternative Album. Fexación's next album, Oral Version, To New Volta, gave the world a new hit, and, for a moment, the best-selling single of the 21st century. The track is called Hip Barking. It became the first track to reach the first place on the Billboard 100, and the clip currently has more than 1,200,000,000 views on YouTube. Shakira performed with this song at the Grammys in the 2007 year, as I said earlier. If I'm not mistaken, this is the only Grammy performance at all. There she performed together with the dancers. There was just a very bright live performance, very incendiary, well, actually, as she knows how. And we are getting close to the 2007 year, where just iconic, a collaboration with Beyoncé took place. This is a famous hit Just Forever in My Heart Beautifulia is called. He entered Beyonce's second album, A Grudge. It was originally planned as a solo album by Beyonce, but in the process of working on the track, the team and the singer herself realized that they needed some kind of sound, added peppercorns, and for this they invited Shakira, with whom Beyonce had wanted to work for a long time. She has generally been a fan of her since the days of Destiny's Band with Child. She confessed her love for her work, that she respects her very much. And then later, when I had already started my solo career, she was at Shakira's concerts, and in general, she was paying tribute to her, and in general, I really didn't want them to finally meet and actually recorded such a cool song. Such a cool clip with these final movements near the wall. Admit it. Who else besides me tried to repeat this wave against the wall, which they did at the end of the clip? I don't know. I still try sometimes too. Well, not about that. The video was shot in just 2 days, and therefore the choreography was completed right on the set, for which thanks to Shakira. She added these oriental movements, oriental dance combined with modern choreographies, which Shakira's actually performed together. The track has received huge recognition and is still considered very popular. He was the leader in the Billboard 100 chart, received a statuette for the Best Duet at the MTV May Award, and subsequently, at her Music Worth Europe ceremony in 2009 year, Beyonce thanked Shakira for her cooperation. It was admitted that she inspires and respects her very much, and since then, they still have. As I understand it, they are friends very well. When Shakira performed with J-Lo at the Super Bowl in 2020, Beyonce was present at this performance. Later, she was there at her birthday party, where she was also there together, and with all the guests. In general, they maintain such close communication. Very cool. In the 2008 year, Shakira releases a new album, She Wolf, which was not as successful as the previous ones. There was more electro sound, and perhaps for a wide audience therefore, it did not go as well as the previous ones. But nevertheless, the single of the same name from the album was a success. It was much more successful than the album itself. It received recognition in Latin America, Europe, the USA, and Russia. By the way, the album also received a gold certification, and jumped from one mega hit to another. We get to the 2010 year, and the most famous and most successful official anthem of the World Cup 2010 year. It took place in Africa, and the track itself is called Waka Waka. The clip now has 3.5 billion views, and it is still considered one of the most successful tracks of all the world championships in general. The song is really stadium. There is some magic in it, which even here you feel through the screen. You may not even know the lyrics, but also the arrangement itself, and the vocals themselves, and, by the way, viral movements. Well, there was a viral dance there, which she performed in the video, which was then performed later by fans and listeners. It's all so quintessential of such a sporting spirit, a celebration of football. As the queen of football anthems, Shakira recorded the track Dr. La 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 back in the 2014 year, all ready for the closing of the Brazilian Football World Cup. The video starred famous football players such as Messi, Neymar, Piqué, her husband of that time, and in the 2014 year. In principle, as in the 2010 clip, personified the unity of fans of different countries and ages, a single love for football, and indeed, here she is the only performer who has appeared twice at the World Cup and recorded an anthem for this football event. We are moving on, and in the 2013 year, Shakira and Rihanna's collaboration comes out. That is, it managed to work at one time, and now with the second such pop icon of a new generation with Rihanna, she managed to work on the track. The clip has currently gained more than 1 billion views, and here it is also felt here on the chorus such additions, guitars, rock motifs that Shakira is very close to. In the 2016 year, Shakira's new Spanish language hit was released. It broke the charts. A joint track with Colombian singer Maluma is called Blackmail. It is noteworthy that the clip became Shakira's second or third billionaire clip, and he scored the first 100 million views in just 20 days. The clip became the top 11 dispensary clips that have ever achieved such a result. Shakira's last album at the moment, El Dorado, was released in May of the 2017 year. It received generally good reviews from critics, but some noted that there was nothing new there. But she was trying to add something new to the club sound. In general, it was well received. The album went platinum in Latin America. Dober put it on the 19th place in the list of the best-selling albums in the 10th. That is, in general, it seems to be enough. Quite successfully, he entered the audience. And in the 2020 year, Shakira, along with J-Lo, performed at the Super Bowl of the Impudent in a time show at halftime of the match. The performance lasted 13 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. At the moment, he has almost, in my opinion, 180 million views. It's only online, as if to say what? how many watched it on TV broadcast. Their joint performance became such, let's say, an ode to Lottie invested Latin American music in the US industry. And first Shakira performed with his medley, then ILO, and then together they kind of had a waka waka there. In my opinion, they did not have time together, despite the fact that there was a record. Well, as if this is a normal story for the Super Bowl. It seems that they are singing live there. In fact, there is such a huge dynamic. There is such a big change of scenery, costumes. There, Katya at one time generally had 5 costumes there, or how many she changed in one performance. That is, there the artist gives his best, invests in the dance, it is invested in interaction with the audience, so this is a normal story. It is always recorded well. Everything is rejected, and so that the viewer gets a high-quality, cool, bright show at the exit. And in 2023 year, Shakira announced the release of a new album. She said that there are a lot of concerts with popular artists, such as Beth Banner, Rosalia, Ed Sheeran, and many others. Shakira also has a Golden Globe nomination for the soundtrack to the film Love During Cholera. The track is called It Translates to Parting, and the film itself was shot based on the book by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. And in order for Shakira to perform the song there, she was asked, well, as if the author himself, the writer Gabriel Garcia Marquez himself, asked her to cooperate. In general, she was even supposed to act in this film, but because she was supposed to appear there naked, she refused. And actually, as for charity, as I said earlier, when Shakira was little, she visited a local park, saw children from disadvantaged families, and made a promise to herself that when she grew up, she would become rich, she would come back and help her city, help the children. And she really kept her promise. She became a philanthropist and began to use her fame and the money she earned for the benefit of the development of education in poor and developing countries. And she became a goodwill ambassador of UNIL in 2007 year. Being in this status, she came to Bangladesh after a devastating hurricane occurred there. In America, Shakira has become a full-fledged star. She has her own star of her fame there. She has received real recognition there. She has not been considered just such an exotic Latin American singer there for a long time. And another proof of Shakira's great recognition in the United States was her performance at the inauguration of Barack Obama. In 2009 year, she performed with Steve Vander and Usher. They performed the song together, High Brand in the song, and later in the 2016 year, Shakira still managed to perform as an actress of sound in the cartoon Zootopia. She voiced the pop star Gazelle there, and continuing the theme with Shakira's appearance, let's say, on the screen, of course. It is important to mention that she was a judge in the show The Voice in American in the 2013-14 year. In the 4th-6th season, she was on the jury there with Asher and Adam Yavin, and such a piquant. Like all celebrities, like all the celebrities, the section is personal life. In general, the singer has never been officially married. In fact, she has, in what we know, as if in the public field, she had 2 such long-term relationships. She had her first relationship from the 2000th to the 2000th year with the Argentine lawyer Antonio de la Rue, actually, about whom she composed a song, and who later starred in her video. He starred as a model. An interesting fact about this clip is that it was boycotted in Argentina, because Antonio de la Rue, in addition to being a lawyer, was also the son of the then president of Argentina, Fernando de la Rue, who resigned in the midst of the economic crisis in the country, which caused the anger of citizens. With this Antonio de la Rue, Shakira also had no registered relationship, despite the fact that they had been together for 11 years. Perhaps Shakira herself, as if she did not want to, was the initiator of not entering into an official marriage. She said that all these pieces of paper are not needed, and if everything is fine with them anyway. In addition to the fact that she had a serious relationship, de la Rue was also her business partner, helped her in business, and so they had a long-distance relationship for a while, but in general, they were very serious. The public statement about the separation looked a little cliched. Shaky once stated about it on her official website. And there were words like "we need growth." Well, we will continue to communicate as friends, as a business partner. Well, that's how our love story ends. Maybe, of course, it was originally planned that they would remain friends and everything would be fine. But in the 2012 year, the former sued Shakira for the amount of $250 million for the fact that she, despite the initial statements that they would continue to cooperate, terminated business cooperation with him 9 months later after the breakup. That is, he allegedly suffered some significant losses there. But I think that these lawsuits and twists and turns with Antonio de la Rue in the 2011-12 years, Shakira was a little worried because at that time, and she already had a relationship with her almost new husband Gerard Piqué. And in the 2012 year, by the way, they gave birth to the first child. So I'm sure that she didn't really give a damn about, let's say, her first boyfriend. And as for the story that is burning at the moment, this is Gerard Piqué's relationship with a famous football player. They met in the 2010 year on the set of the video for the song Waka Waka, the most successful anthem of the World Cup until all time. He was also present on the set. I think Messi was there too. And here on the set, they immediately ran some kind of spark, shocked, immediately noticed, despite the fact that they have a 10-year age difference. But at the same time they have a birthday on the same day, but with 10 years apart. Despite the age difference, they found a common language. They have common interests, common hobbies, and Shakira seemed to like him right away. When she viewed the backstage fragments from the filming of the video, she immediately noticed him like, kind of cute, here. And she herself showed sympathy for him, that is, she did not hide it. She's like a conqueror, an alpha, a female like that, she charmed him. And 2 years later, in the 2017 year, their first child, baby Milan, was born. In the 2014 year, Shakira said that she wanted to give birth to almost a football team, 8 and 9 children. But then they gave birth to a second child in the 2015 year, and they stopped there. Their second child is also a boy. They named him Sasha. As the relationship developed, Gerard's career in football developed in parallel. He started playing in Barcelona. To do this, it was necessary to be constantly in Spain. Shakira and Gerard were together for a while. Long-distance relationships are like that. She came to Spain periodically, but she tried to balance between America and Spain. But she understood that one of them had to make this sacrifice shorter. Either Gerard had to suspend his career in football, or she had to suspend her career in music. But perhaps, since she had already reached many heights at that time, she decided to put it on pause and move to Spain. Although for her, of course, it was not very convenient, because all the events, filming, awards, and so on, it all took place in the States. But she consciously sacrificed her career. She wanted a family. She wanted to be in homemade tea, and in general, as if everything suited her. And despite the delicate relationship again, as with Antonio de la Rua, Shakira did not want to officially register the relationship. She, as she later told in an interview at which Gerard was still present, she wanted her to always be such a forbidden fruit for Piqué, such an eternal boyfriend, and so that she did not see any sense in such a marriage in short. Later, she told Elle in an interview that Piqué was quite a jealous man and possessive, and he had a very negative attitude to the way Shakira starred in clips with men, so she often removed women for filming, for extras, for dancers, for the background. Since 2000 of the 17th year, rumors have been spreading in the press that they have something wrong there, some kind of discord, but officially they did not comment in any way. Fans already suspected that Gerard was somehow walking away from Shakira, but there was no confirmation of this. In June 2022 year, the couple announced their separation, that they still wanted to continue to live separately, but they did not want to take out the details. They did not want to take out the rubbish from the hut to a public court, so that the children would not suffer from it, so that they would not see all these family squabbles. Users, of course, were just beside themselves with anger, and among the tweets one could find such that Piqué had a midlife crisis. His career was going downhill. Instead of just buying himself a Ferrari, he was changing as a 20-year-old in a club. Football players booed, even football fans at Barcelona matches, shouting Shakira's name. And gradually, in the summer of 2022 year, photos of Gerard with his new passion, Clara Che, who is 10 years younger than him, began to appear on the network. He did not hide their relationship absolutely, and if at first, apparently, Shakira seemed to be, she kept neutral and endured, then her patience came to an end, because maybe yes, they did. Well, this is official information, that they agreed not to advertise their new relationship for a year after the breakup. But apparently Gerard somehow decided to ignore these agreements, or maybe they did not exist, and then it broke through. She recorded the track that has already become the final one, with the American DJ Biz Rap, and walked right through her ex there with a skating rink. The track sounded that it was natural since he would never find Shakira. It is clear with ratings, I absolutely agree, that no matter how he begged, she would not accept him. This famous one already has these lines, that he used roles at the Ferrari checkout on TV and so on. And among other lines there was such that come to visit me if you want and bring her. This was probably a reference to the rumors that during their relationship, even before the official breakup was announced, Gerard Piqué took his new lover to their home when Shakira was on vacation with the children. They were going somewhere, and as fans burned this new girl of his, that on one of the YouTube The Show. Rapik has already connected to this YouTube show by Zoom, by video link, and in the background there was some kind of girl looming there. And only then, as if comparing one with the other, users realized that in short it was her. And it was still at a time when perhaps they were not going to part. The track itself, which Shakira recorded together with DJ Biz Rap, broke 4 Guinness World Records, among which the most viewed Latin American clip on YouTube in 24 hours. It was in the first place on the world Spotify chart for several weeks, and is the fastest Latin track to gain 100 million views on YouTube. Shakira performed with him in March. In March, if I'm not mistaken, she performed on the James Corden show. For some reason, she caused such a big pause, but there he sang and knitted with her. Well, maybe this is a pre-prepared crowd, but in general we can say that Shakira suddenly, without an album, without anything, without warning, just broke into the charts and just tore everyone up because such success. Well, as if from Shakira, as from the same heavyweight star, and in general, from the Latin American star of the old Marty, no one expected there to be a bad bathhouse of some kind, yes, which shoots here. He's a cap, it's what a popular one now. It can still be, but from the shock, it's all of a sudden here, and for the first time since 2000, Shakira was able to get into the Billboard chart with the hit Beauty Fly and her track. This new one got to the 9th line. Despite the worldwide fame, recognition in the States, Shakira never forgot where she came from and never went into English-speaking creativity completely with her head. She has always promoted Latin American music, and I think that it is her great merit that now Latin American performers feel so confident in the American market of this bad bath. This includes Maluma, Anitta, J Balvin, Rosal, among others. In other words, Shakira became a pioneer, and she skillfully combined both the music of South American countries and the American sound from the point of view of prog, rock, electronics there. She so skillfully intertwined it all in her tracks that in the end an international product, international creativity was obtained. And I am sure that there is still so much fire in her, so much inspiration, that she will be able to give us another album, eat another tour, in several, and light up and continue to light up the same way she lit up for 20 years. And as she lit up at the Super Bowl, she announced a lot of fits in the new album, with a bunch of top artists now. It will be interesting to listen to it, and it will be interesting to find out what kind of new sound it will be. How many more records she will be able to break with this album. I'm sure there's still gunpowder, just for a few albums to be exact. Thank you so much for watching this video to the end. I will be very grateful for your comments. Share feedback. Which tracks, Shakira's are your most favorite? Which clips are your most favorite? Share feedback, like, subscribe, and see you soon. Bye.